Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nur Mawlānā, Shāh Rahīm, al-Ḥusaynī, Hāzīr Imām, Ya Mawlā, Ya Mushkil Kusha. Madad farma, madad farma. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, wa ni'mal mawlā, wa ni'man nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, wa ni'mal mawlā, wa ni'man nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, wa ni'mal mawlā, wa ni'man nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, wa ni'mal mawlā, wa ni'man nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, wa ni'mal mawlā, wa ni'man nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, wa ni'mal mawlā, wa ni'man nasir. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, wa ni'mal mawlā, wa ni'man nasir. Ya Mawlā Meherban, Ya Mushkil Kusha, we seek your mercy, we seek your luminous help, Mawlā. Ya Mawlā Meherban, Ya Mushkil Kusha Meherban, Mawlā, Madad Farma, Madad Farma. Ameen. Once again, Ya Ali Madad to all friends. Today, we are, inshallah, trying to finish the Farman of Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām, reflection of the Farman which Mawla gave us in Dallas. And alhamdulillah, we continue to, reflect on Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's Farman. And I had just taken one Farman and I was including other Farmans in it, but the framework was one Farman, which was Dallas Farman. Remember, I have said that before too, that when we have these reflection sessions, believe it or not, it is still, very superficial. We need to continue to reflect on more and more and more. And the more we read, the more we reflect, the more we understand. Because these are words of Imām-e-Zaman. And they apply to us in every point in time. And it continues to unfold the guidance, the secrets of Imam, in the sense that the way Mawla guides us according to time. And if we were to reflect, then only we would realize that how does this Farman applies to me today? Or it applied to me yesterday? Or how will it apply to me tomorrow? And so on. So, and then another important thing, that when we gather here as friends, we all are seekers of knowledge and we are very connected because our desire is to elevate spiritually. So what we do in general sense when we read Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's Farman or Mawlānā Shāh Karim's Farman, we are only looking for a spiritual aspect. And I hope that in your knowledge journey that you understand that broader knowledge and broader understanding, like worldly education, will help us to understand Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's Hidayat. Understanding history will help us understand Imam's Hidayat. So remember that the Farmans are actually very encompassing. And if you remember last week when we talked about spiritual elevation, it was one part, because we talk about spirituality all the time. But when we are reviewing Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's Farman, there is much more in his Farameen than just the spiritual aspect. Nevertheless, all the aspects, for example, we talked about ethics in great detail. When we work on our ethics, when we understand Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's Hidayat, which is to do with our worldly life as per se, being ethical, citizen of our countries, it will help us in spirituality. So Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's Hidayat is for our spirituality, because Imam, the way Mawla in his Farman in 48th Joma has said, that I have come to this world for your salvation. So we have to have that ability that when we read Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's Farman, are we able to link it to our spirituality? Now, when we study Farmans today, today's session, because it's a different session today, and that's why I'm kind of, giving you this preamble to understand that when we study and reflect on Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām Farmans, seemingly we may feel, oh, there's nothing about Ruhaniyat. But believe me, every word, every hidayat, every sentence we read, if we understand, it will take us to our spiritual life. So we have to understand that part. So with that, let me start my session. So we do know that Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's historical visit in USA, and we are so blessed to have our Smiley Center. So we continue to reflect on the Farmans. And this is the amazing picture, Maula's love and affection, it is just beautiful picture. How much he loves us, we can see it in his eyes. And of course, his words as well, his actions as well. But, his love and affection encourages us, makes us responsible, actually, I would say, to really reflect on his farmans to get maximum understanding. And it applies to each one of us. That even when we are listening to these sessions, remember, reflection has not ended. We have to continue to reflect, continue to read Farmans. I cannot emphasize enough on that part. So beautiful picture of Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām. And now let's look at the one aspect which we are going to discuss first, and that is the generous gift, a thoughtful gift which was given to Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām. And you all know it was Fatmid coin, right? A very special gift. And it was said that it was generous and thoughtful gift, which was, important collection of Fatmid coins and glass. And of course, that gift is rich with symbolism. It is a reminder of a time when spirit of pluralism was alive, and it was strengthening the society. And Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām said, I want to express my deepest gratitude for this gift and all that it represents. This is Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's word, that I express my deepest gratitude for this gift and all that it represents. Question is, do we understand what it represents? And then Mawla says that I will treasure it, and it will be a reminder to me of this historic and happy visit. So when we read these words, again, do we understand? What does it represent? So we have to go back in history, because Hāzīr Imām actually is directing us to history. And Mawla says that I'm very proud of it, of our history. We as Smiley brothers and sisters, do we understand that era, that part which Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām is referring to, which these Fatmid coins are representing? And Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām says that, it is treasure for me. So Mawla, admiring this gift, this beautiful gift, thoughtful, generous gift, do we understand what does this gift means? And I'm specifically not going into coins as per se. When you look at it, you see there are inscriptions in Arabic, right? So there are different inscriptions of Quranic verses which are there on Fatmid coin. But, I was hoping that all of us reflect and understand that, do we understand the history? How did the Fatmid time came about? And what happened during the Fatmid time that Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām today says that, he will treasure this gift. So I was thinking, where do I start? How do I start? It's such a broad aspect. History is very broad. But, briefly, I said, let me just try. I was being ambitious. And guess what? I did have some issues with my slides at the end time. So let's see, inshallah, with your prayers and Mawla's mercy. So my slide is showing that after Prophet Muhammad, we had Mawla Ali. We do know that Prophet Muhammad made Mawlānā Ali alayhi salam his janashin at Ghadir-e-Khum. And the event of Ghadir-e-Khum if you know from the books, there are some Sunni books that would not accept that this event even happened. And there are some books which are authenticated by Sunni themselves. They accept that, this hadith, Man kuntu Mawla fahaza aliyun Mawla, is authenticated by Shia and Sunni equally. And that's how, ahadith, the collection of sayings of Prophet Muhammad becomes very important. But then those collection which are authenticated by Sunni sources as well as Shia sources. Because today the division in Ummah is based on that, right? That after Prophet Muhammad, those who stayed with Maula Ali, they were Shia, and eventually they became, we are as Ismailis. There are so many, division which happened even in line of Imams as well, right? People continue to leave Imam, and we do know 12ers, and we know we are called Ismailis and Nizaris, all that discussion which we can have looking into when Imam came on the Zahura, the way we say it, right? Mawlānā Ali became Zahur, meaning that his imamat was announced, not that imams were not present. So briefly, when Mawlānā Ali came on Gadi, there was a conflict with Muawiyah. And we all know Abu Bakr became Khalifa, the first Khalifa. And if we read the books, we will come to learn that Prophet Muhammad was sick, and Abu Bakr during that time announced his Khilafat, and he accepted the bay'ah on his hand from, influential leaders at that time. And during that time, Maula Ali was taking care of Prophet Muhammad because he stayed alive for 3 days and then he passed away after Ghadir Khum. And Maula Ali was busy with Prophet Muhammad and taking care of him, and then funeral arrangement. And by the time all that was done, the division had already happened because Abu Bakr became Khalifa. Anyways, so Maula Ali, after when Usman was assassinated, right? Maula Ali was requested that please accept this worldly leadership and become Khalif for Muslim Ummah. And Maula Ali refused, and then finally he accepted it. And then at that time, people who wanted to raise conflicts, they started giving Maula Ali lots of problem that, do justice for Usman's death. And Maula Ali was, he was saying that we do not need to favor anybody, first stabilize the government and then deal with everything. But the conflict continued to raise, and then, there were 2 battles which were fought because Muawiyah became against, and the first fitna, which is, it was triggered by Muawiyah, and it was the first major civil war, right? The first fitna, it is called in the book of history, Battle of Safin. And Maula Ali actually won that. And he respectfully, honored Bibi Aisha, and he lost his uncle and his friend in that battle. And then we had Battle of Jamal, or Battle of Camel. Why am I talking about these things? That there were so many physical battles fought even after for Prophet Muhammad to accept Maula Ali's, imamat. And then finally, Muawiyah, in the Jang-e-Safin, when Muawiyah tells his people to, when Maula Ali was winning, he tells his people to pick up the Quran on their, on their, what do you call it? Nezo pe Quran utha liya. When people saw Quran, they said, how can we fight in front of Quran? So Maula Ali kind of, got defeated because his own people would not support. Loyalty matters. Seeing physical Quran, people left Maula Ali. Anyways, long story short, what happened? Muawiyah kind of came into power, and then we know Imam Hussein, was lured to Karbala, and then finally Muawiyah, Yazid, all it's the same family. They come into worldly leadership as per se, and they are called, Muawiyah Umayyad dynasty, which was made. And then let's see what we have here. So Umayyad dynasty, which lasted from 661 to 750, And then, of course, they were really oppressive to people. And then Abbasid dynasty came into being. Now, Abbasid, in reality, Abbasid, if you were to read, it was actually uncle of Prophet Muhammad. So this is all from nearby people that they were all against the lines of Imam. And we all know Mawlānā Ismail was sent to Syria. And after that, there is period of concealment, Dor-e-Satar. And then finally, in the time of Mawlānā Mahdi alayhi salam, Fatimid Khilafat was started. And they, Imam named that dynasty that time as Fatimid, and it is from Bibi Fatima, right? Maula Ali and Bibi Fatima. And then this is the time from 1909 to 1171, it lasted. This was the best time for Muslims, not only Muslims, actually whole world, whole ummah at that time who were around there. And remember, if you were to read the history, Prophet Muhammad was in Makkah, then he went to Medina, then from Medina, Basra, Kufa, Baghdad, Iraq, Syria. All this is, during this time, this historical time is going on. And then Fatimid Khilafat was in Cairo, and Al-Azhar University was made, right? So all this history is a rich history for us to actually know in detail, to understand that how Fatimid Khilafat came into being. Lot happened during the Fatimid Khilafat, and what I'm going to do is to go to next slide and help us see why Fatimid Khilafat was called Islamic Golden Age. So Fatimid Khilafat time was known as Islamic Golden Age. Algebra, medicine, philosophy, translation of the books, everything was flourishing and flourishing. Muslims and Ismailis were at peak. And at that time, Ismailis involved everybody. The way Imam was leading the whole Ummah, Muslims and all non-Muslims as well. They all worked together hands in hands, very pluralistic society. So that was going on in Cairo. And of course, education, that was the university, and after 1,000 years, we have Aga Khan University started by Mawlānā Shāh. So we do know Aga Khan University, when Mawlānā Shāh started, he said it is the reminder of the time when Fatimid, Khilafat was going on, and we had Al-Azhar University. And today we know how Aga Khan University is accepted all over the world, and how many satellite campuses now we know in Africa, like in East African countries, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, everywhere we have our, campuses. So all that we see today from Aga Khan University in Africa, actually it is the depiction of the time which we had in Fatimid time, So you have to understand, we are talking about a gift which was given to Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām. It is reminder of that time that Ismaili Imams were ruling all the humanity in that area, right? So gift which is rich with symbolism. So what is the richness? So Fatimid Empire itself was a model of pluralism. Those coins which were given to Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām, they remind us what was the approach of Fatimid time to society. At that time, Muslims, Christians, Jews, they worked together under the leadership of the Imam. All the scholars from every traditions, they worked in Darul Ilm, house of knowledge. Trade, diplomacy, scholarship, everything. It connected Europe, Asia, Africa, everything was connected. And it was based on merit. Advancement was based on merit. Versus the advancement which was going in the time of Umar, Usman, or Abu Bakr Khilafat, it was all favoritism, and that's why all the killing and conflicts were happening. But in Fatimid time, it was all to do with merit. Inclusive worldview was used. And that is what Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām, if you remember his speech, Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām champions that spirit of pluralism in today's time. And then it says, inscription reflect pluralistic ethos. Of course, all the inscriptions were from Quranic verses, which were based on truth, divine guidance. It also had titles of Imām, emphasizing mercy and importance of knowledge and inclusiveness of all the multi-faith, communities. Today we see how Imām is involving multi-faith couples. It is all the same, time which we are able to see, but it is what was happening in reality in Fatimid time, and Imām was the ruler himself, right? So it is that worldview which we are seeing today. In Mawlānā Shāh Karim, when he started this Global Pluralism Awards, and Mawlānā Shah Hāzīr Imām just gave a speech, it is all reflection of that time which was in Fatimid time. So Imam's authority at that time was not for one group, but for the well-being of all under his care. Not just Ismailis, but all under his care. Do we remember in Quran how we had studied that Imam's title is Imāmun Nas and Imāmul Muttaqin? If we had not come to the knowledge journey, we would never know that Imam's title is Imāmun Nas. And all Imam's work, Mawlānā Shāh Karim's work, Mawlānā Imām Sultan Muhammad Shah's work, Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam's work, we see that they've been working with humanity. And, sometimes we would think, oh, Hāzīr Imām is ours. He's our Imam. We are in, Bayya with him. Why is he working for others as well? Remember that his job is not only Ismailis. He's Imāmun Nas as well. But yes, we are in his Bayya. So he calls us my beloved spiritual children. So there is a difference as well. But today, the way we are looking into history in Fatimid time, we are seeing that Fatimid time was intellectually golden age. It was a symbol of the Fatimid intellectual golden age. Why? Because intellectual flourishing was going on. Artistic refinement. Look at the awards nowadays. Architecture award, music award. So do we see what Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām is doing? There was a scientific advancement, religious tolerance, so giving these coins to Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām, what we are saying, continuity of heritage, reverence of Fatimid Imam, recognition of civilization that prospered through diversity and openness. So when we are saying these big words, diversity and openness, we have to reflect on ourselves that today when we call ourselves as one Jamaat, are we observing these code of conduct in our dealing with Jamaat who are from different culture, different background, different languages? How are we behaving? And then why only with Jamaat? Do we do that with outside as well, other people as well? It also reminds us that, there was an ethical governance. Remember, Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām asked us that whichever country you live in, you support that country, you become, a good citizen of that country and live your life ethically. Fatimid time is a symbol, reminder for us that Mawlānā Imām, our Imam in history, had ethical governance. And that's why everybody loved the Fatimid time. There was honesty in weight and dealing in business, purity of metal. Coins, when they are made, one can cheat in that metal as well. But during Fatimid time, everything was done with integrity, service, justice, unity, responsibility and leadership. And we do know Qazi Nauman was our chief jurisprudence at that time. So we see these leadership from our dais, our hujjatan at that time, making that era, making that time period a golden age. And Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām receiving that gift, we are saying that we remember the part of history we belong to, right? So Fatimid coin as a metaphor of circulation. What does it mean, metaphor of circulation? It means that when these coins circulate among people of every background, it mirrors the movement of ideas, exchange across different cultures, interconnectedness of societies. So, what does this mean? Pluralism in action. Pluralism in action, meaning all people, different color, different background, different religion, different values, we all live under, Imam's guidance together. In Fatmid time, today, Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam says that whichever country do you live in, you become the best citizen, advocate, of Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam. That anybody and everybody who does dealing with you, they would say, oh, this person is a smiley. I can take his word as is, because smileys don't lie or cheat or deceit. That's what we are, these Fatmid coins are representing. Symbol of timeless leadership. I mean, do I need to say anything about it? Timeless leadership. Imams were loved at that time. There were people who would come to Cairo for refuge, for peace, because, we always had our Imams, our Hujatan, Dayan at that time had open door policy, that it will be peace and comfort for everybody, no matter what color, what language, where you are coming from. So, Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam today, we are saying to Maula Bapa that we remember the legacy and we honor the continuation of it in our time, 2025. So it is a personal reminder for us as Ismailis that we are inheritors of a tradition of openness, and we must continue the Fatimid legacy of pluralism, justice, knowledge, accepting that diversity is a strength, not a weakness. Pluralism is part of us. It is in our DNA. We have always been, different, but one Jamaat, right? So, Alhamdulillah, this is our Fatmid heritage for us to understand that how do we need to have ethics, because that was the most ethical time. How do we need to have integrity in our leadership. We have to promote knowledge and openness, multicultural harmony, and of course, being knowledgeable about history as well. And those things which were admired, appreciated, loved by all the people along with us as Ismailis, we want to today practice and live by those times, those ethical behaviors, that today, when Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam is giving us guidance, and we are giving this gift to Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam, it is as if that we remember, we know what we are doing. So today, when we do not abide by, ethics in our attitude, in our behavior, in our dealings, then are we understanding that our institution, who is giving this gift to Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam, golden age, the peak time of ethical governance under Imams, and today, we being Ismailis, Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam giving us Farman on ethics. Are we connecting the dots? Are we understanding? Otherwise, it seems like institution is doing something, Jamaat is doing something, and Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam is giving hidayat to us. So if we, as Ismaili Jamaat, do not reflect on Imam's words and understand, every word he uses, the way Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah has said in his Farman in Kalam Imam Mubin, that if you read one sentence of my Farman, it has 1,000 meaning in that sentence. Today, when we are reading Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam's Farman in English and we understand English, we think, the way we read it, as if we are reading newspaper. We have to pause and think that if one sentence has 1,000 meaning, did I get 2, 3, 4? And remember, the more we reflect, the more we seek Mawla's help, the more we progress in the knowledge journey, our reflective abilities also increase. And we, understand Mawla's hidayat. Along with that, we have to have knowledge of history, knowledge of Quran, knowledge of Ginans. All these knowledges are important for us to understand Hāzīr Imām's Hidayat. So this was about, the coins we gave. But then it doesn't end there, because guess what? Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām gave this speech, Global Pluralism Award, right? Difference is a blessing, not a threat. So here what I had done, I had taken Mawlānā Shāh Karim has actually quite a few speeches, 2014, 2017, and I had taken those, extracts from his speech, but, my slides had issues and I lost it. So let's see, I'll quickly put whatever I could get, the points from explanation. So we'll read that and see. But do we all know that Mawlānā Shāh Karim started this award, Global Pluralism Award? It was founded by Government of Canada and Mawlānā Shāh Karim. What was the reason? Why did Mawlānā Shāh Karim did that? To celebrate individuals, an organization creating more inclusive, diverse, and peaceful societies. So we do know Canadian government is much more, open, and we know from our history what happened in Africa, Uganda. Our Jamaat went to, different countries, and then Afghan Jamaat, when got into trouble, they went to Canada, and they continue to come to, different countries. Is still going on, but Canada was one of the first few ones who accepted, open-heartedly, open arms. So Mawlānā Shāh Karim had started this award together with Canadian government, and it's still going on. So those who meet the criteria, they win money, and then they continue to make the difference. So Mawlānā Shāh Karim's speeches are there, and we saw Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's speech in French as well as in English, right? On YouTube, on Ismaili website, it came on. That difference is a blessing, not a threat. Why is it related to the Farman reflection? Because it is related to the gift we gave it to Mawla Baba. And Mawla says that I will treasure it. When Mawla says I'm going to treasure it, do we understand? And then this is followed by Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's speech in Global Pluralism Award. So are we connecting the dots? Because in Farman, what Mawla said, that I will treasure it, Mawla Bapa is living in his action by giving this speech to the whole world, that how he values, and what Mawlānā Shāh Karim, his father, had started, he's continuing to do that. Global Pluralism Award. It relates to the gift which we gave to Mawla Bapa. And there's a lesson behind it. And then Mawla, when he says that I will treasure, do we understand that why Mawla treasures it? If something Mawla treasures, do we treasure it or not? That is another understanding and needed reflection for us as Ismailis. Because Mawla, from his action, is showing, he said in the Farman that, and then he's giving this speech. What did we learn from this speech? Or what is the lesson we are learning from the actions of Mawlānā Shāh Karim and Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām in Global Pluralism Award, which I'm relating to the Farman of Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām he gave in Dallas, and the gift we gave to Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām, which Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām will treasure it. So I hope we are connecting. And the reason I've gone into detail like that, so we understand that when I say reflect on Farman, it cannot be that we are going to think like that. No, we have to read more. The more we read, and of course, how would we choose to read? What Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām or Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's speech or Farman, whatever Mawla has given to us, do I understand it completely? How does it apply to me as the follower of Imam, as the obedient murid of Imam? Is it shown into my action? How will it show into our action when we don't even understand it? So if we don't understand it, we will not do it. So what will be the outcome? We cannot be Farman Bardar. And guess what? We pray morning and evening, Ya Mawla, make us Farman Bardar. How are we going to become Farman Bardar? Farman Bardar is not a switch which we turn on and turn off. It is filled with actions. And action is to read more. When we read, then we will understand his Farman. When we understand his Farman, then we will change our attitude, our thinking, and our action. We will become role models for our children, our families, our friends, our Jamaat, and those who we deal with. Oh, this person is a smiley. They do not cheat. They're very ethical people because their Imām tells them to be ethical. And I've talked to them. They used to have a Fatimid Khilafat, and it was the best time for Islamic world. Do you see the connection? And it is all because we understood Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's Farman. And someone may ask me still, but how am I increasing in my ruhaniyat? Because that's what, sometimes we are so literal and concrete, but I want to progress in ruhaniyat. I don't want to deal with world. World is part of ruhaniyat. The biggest mistake which we make, we think world is separate and deen is separate. There's no dichotomy between deen and dunya. We really have to understand this farman. When we understand this farman, then we will live in the world as if we are living in the religion. Every step we take, it is full of faith. And when we do that, we become automatically different from other people because we are ethical all the time. And ethic is not easy in today's time because people are greedy, they want money. And we will accept the loss because we will not accept compromise in our values because we do not want to become na farman bardar. And when we are not na farman bardar, then when we do ibadat or zikr or pay the sond or say dua, it flies high. Automatic connection, automatic progress. If we do all these actions and we don't have ethics or understanding of farman bardari related to dunya, even when we don't do that, no matter how much the son somebody pays, no matter how much ibadat they do, they cannot elevate. So I hope that these reflections sessions of Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's Faramis helps us understand that how it is interlinked with our ruhaniyat. So I will invite friends to come and read whatever is written on the slide. These are, this is specifically from Mawlānā Shāh Karim's speech in 2017. In the opening ceremony, he used this word. So I will call friends to come forward and read each slide and we'll discuss a bit. So who's going to volunteer?
Ji, Niamat Saiba, Franullah here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Pluralism does not mean the elimination of difference, but the embraces of difference.
So nobody should make a mistake when we are saying pluralism, we are going to make others like us or we will become like them. No, it is about accepting and embracing the differences. Now, this is different quote from 1983, Canadian Institute of International Affairs. Ji, who's going to read?
Quote, education must enable us to see that other people are different and that this difference is not necessarily a threat. Quote, unquote.
So we do know that how, people see difference as a threat. At least we as Ismailis, we should not do that because we know better. And our Jamaat, to begin with, our Jamaat, we are so different from each other, very different, right? We have Khoja, Momna, Bana, Arabic, Chinese, Afghanis, different languages, different background, different ways of doing things, different food, everything different. But we embrace the difference. It is not a threat, but we all are one. When we are able to do that, then we can also live with humanity as all one. And we are seeing in Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām's action today, start from interfaith family members, Mawlānā Bapa is meeting, and the way he's, being so inclusive of, interfaith couples, spouses who belong to different religions. And Mawla is like, include them, make them part of our Jamaat and involve them in different activities. Doors of Jamaat Khanas were opened for them. Never happened in the past, right? For us. But in Fatimid time, everybody was included and involved. It was an inclusive time. And this is the time of Qiyamah. You have to understand that part as well. that Maula's mercy is at the peak. The gate of his Rahima is open for everybody. And those who will, even from his speeches, those who will understand and, practice the values which Imam is teaching, Imam being Imamun Nas is blessing everybody. And if we, being the murid of Imam, under his Khana Vadan, having this strong spiritual bond, if we don't understand his Farman and don't become Farman Bardar, then who is at loss? So we are understanding what we are reading and discussing. G.
Value of diversity. Pluralism is not simply the absence of conflict. It is the existence of genuine respect for diversity. The world's great civilizations have been enriched because they were open to diversity.
So diversity, pluralism does not mean fighting. It means truly respecting. It means truly honoring the differences between us so the societies can grow with different ideas, different cultures. And Mawlānā Shāh Karim's, 2014 Parliament of Canada address, Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam's, used this word. The danger is not difference. The danger is silence. The failure to recognize the importance of dialogue. When we see that the difference is not understood, it is important to have dialogue, right? And not by when people are silent, it raises the conflict. So this, I would say, we have to start among ourselves, in our Jamaat Khanas, in our family, because we do have interfaith, spouses, family members, Jamaati members, how inclusive and accepting we are to those members of our Jamaat now, because Hāzīr Imam has accepted them as Jamaati members. Ismaili may not be Ismailis, but they are married to Ismaili Jamaati members. How inclusive we are with them. Right? D.
Shared humanity. We are all equally God's creation, whatever our differences. A secure world is one that embraces human diversity, not one that fears it.
Mawlānā Shāh Karim in 2014 Parliament of Canada, he said a cosmopolitan ethic is one that welcomes the complexity of our world. So welcoming the complexity of our world, we, the way last week we were discussing about, culture of martyr in our family, among our family. If we are not able to accept the different values our children are having because they are in different countries, they are grown up in different countries, how are we going to accept the complexity of our world? So what are we saying? The importance of role of education, open-mindedness, and need for dialogue, need for communication to learn and to grow. All these things are interlinked, interrelated for our own peace too. If we don't have peace in our heart, how can we connect with the ibadat? We will not be able to connect to zikr because the heart is at unrest. G.
Ethics of inclusion. The instinct to seek understanding across differences is the foundation of peace. The spirit of pluralism is a mindset. It is a way of thinking and a way of living.
So, again, when we talk about this at the world level or our country's level or Jamaat level, it may feel beyond me. But let me bring it close. Within our family, if we have, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, different culture, different language maybe, are we inclusive? Are we pluralistic? I gave you example of our children too. So what I'm saying that when we discuss these things, don't think, oh, these are too far above us. It's, it does not relate. But remember, when we are understanding that Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām, Mawlānā Shāh Karim in his speech has mentioned this, that this will bring peace in our heart. And today, if we don't have peace, because our family members are not understanding difference in the values or difference in the culture. So at a minute level, we are not open-minded or pluralistic in our way of living. If within our family, if we are not able to accept the differences, communicate to understand the differences, how can we have one Jamaat at our Jamaat Khana level? Or we continue to go higher and higher and understand that how can we have oneness? We all pray, we all say Wahidul Kahar, that we forcefully make us one, because we are so weak, forcefully make us one, to go back to single soul in spirituality. But spirituality is secondary. First, we have to abide by these laws which are given to us in Quran and Ginan and Farmans, that how much we are striving to become one. How are we, removing the differences or understanding the differences with dialogue or being open-mindedness to understand the differences. Then only we can lead to become one, right? And again, remember, don't go very far if you can't think of. Think of in your home, within your family. Are you able to practice these values or not? Very important role of education. Do we need to discuss this? How many times Mawlānā Shāh Karim has given this hidayat? Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām also gave us this hidayat. Education must prepare us to engage with diversity, not avoid it. Otherwise, it is not education, right? Knowledge and respect for other cultures is part of the basic infrastructure of a peaceful society. And I would say, let's make it a different word, peaceful family. Would it be correct? 100% it will be correct. So if we do not have peaceful family, then all what we are learning today, we are not abiding by these values within our family. And that's why we have the nucleus of our family is broken. The peace is broken because we are not valuing the diversity, or we are not being pluralistic. Education, Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām in 1983 in Canadian Institute of International Affairs, Mullah said, education must enable us to see that other people are different, and that difference is not necessarily a threat. A new family member comes, do we see them as a threat, or do we accept them as they are? This is a tiniest example of what Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām is doing in the world, in humanity, right? And of course, historically, Muslim civilization flourished when they embraced pluralism. Talimat of Quran, Talimat of Ginan, Talimat of Farmans. For us to have, pluralistic society. And it is when we have this openness in our heart, it is attribution of divine mercy, which we see and which we practice in the sense that, we see that Khuda Ta'ala does not divide. We all know Deen Haq is one, right? Deen Haq, the true religion is one. It is the people who has divided, and they have made their own, different buildings and call different names. Imam, being Imamun Nas, accepts all the differences and values everybody. But yes, Khana Vadan is for us. But if Imam is so open, being the Imam, he does not, interfere with the free will of the people. When we look at ourselves, and again, I will give you the example of the family unit for you to be able to grasp this concept. Within the family, if we have conflict, is it due to one seeking control over the other? If the answer is yes, then you do know that how we are not being Farman Bardar. We are looking at Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām, who is the true Lord of Deen and Dunya, right? He does not interfere with the free will of people. He says, whatever you decide, you live. When you accept, you come forward, you are accepted. And he has come for salvation. We do know that. But if we were to not understand the teachings of the Quran, Ginans, and Farmans, and we give a gift to Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām, reminding ourselves, treasuring the Fatimid time, which was the inclusive time, and when it comes to our own family member, we are trying to control each other, meaning we have no peace in the home because we don't respect each other. And that's how we have conflicts. Where is the attribution of tolerance and patience? So I hope you are connecting the dots. And when I'm saying tolerance and patience, I'm relating it to Ginan, Kamya Daya, I don't remember the exact Ginan, but you do know, right? That Kam, Krodh, the negative spiritual diseases, and then Peer says, Kamya Daya, Ghatmaya Jagya, something like that. That patience, tolerance, kindness, mercy, these are the attributions moment should have. Are we not understanding Ginan here? But we are talking about the speech of Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām, which we are relating to the Farman, and now we are talking about the family and Ginan too. Do we see the interconnectedness? It will only come when our minds are open up with studies, readings, to understand that it is one and the same message. It is not different. Ethics rooted in faith. Pluralism is a moral duty, not a concession, right? Islam's foundation is a belief in the unity of mankind under one creator. We believe in Wahadaniyat, one God, right? So I don't think we need to explain this anymore. But if we understand this, then we are inclusive. If we don't understand this, then we say, oh, this is Christian, this is Hindu, this is that. Meaning we have not understood what we are reading here. What is the modern challenge? Again, the difference is not due to people being different in their language, in their values, in their religion. It is because of the ignorance. It is because of the ignorance, right? We fail to understand each other. We will fail to build a peaceful world. Diversity is a source of enrichment that can bring new insights to every field of human endeavor. Alhamdulillah. So what we are concluding, we are saying pluralism does not mean the elimination of difference, but the embrace of difference. What a beautiful quote, right? Genuine pluralism understands that diversity does not weaken a society. It strengthens it. And if we want to see a trailer of it, when we look at our volunteers, when Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām came, all our volunteers were together helping Jamaat. And like in Dallas, almost 10,000 people. How did they manage? What organized didar we had? Everything was taken care of. Everybody was taken care of. Everybody got food and water. And we had a peaceful sitting down, wonderful, youth mulaqat, interfaith, couple mulaqat, and then we had didar as well. How peaceful that day was. Do you think it happened magically, miraculously? The miracle was in our Jamaati members, regardless of differences. They all came together to be under the hidayat of Imam to serve the Jamaat. No matter how do they look, how mistreating some of Jamaati members were, unfortunately. We don't even thank our volunteers sometimes. So we have to realize that when we look at volunteers, they are the true example that they are practicing these, hidayat of Imam. So the importance here is of education. And of course, education also helps us understand Imam's Farman. It becomes a bridge, and then ethics becomes our foundation. And of course, if we practice it daily, then it becomes our way of life. All right. Then lastly, this was a question also asked that what are the differences? What is the meaning of Murshid, Peer, and Imam? this was received as a question after the Didar, which actually, if you remember, in our Jama Change lectures, which 7 lecture series we did when, we had Tatnashini time, Mawlānā Shāh Karim physically leaving this world, and Mawlānā Hāzīr Imām sitting on Gadi, we had talked about these terminologies. But somebody asked again that what is the difference between Murshid, Pir, and Imam? And when this gift was given, it was said that we are giving to you this gift as our Pir, Murshid, and Imam. So we understand that Imam has all these 3 titles, with him. Word Murshid actually is, it comes from Arabic, the word Rasht, Re, Sheen, Dal, right? And it means Murshid is the one who guides on the spiritual path. And it is, the word Murshid actually is used by Sufi people a lot, right? So Sufi will have disciple who will be following the Sufi master or teacher. But for us, our Murshid is Hāzīr Imām. Then we have terminology of Pir, which in reality actually means an elder. Again, also a spiritual master. And this word is a Persian origin. And this word has been used in our Jamaat, those who have been following Pir Nasir Khusro's tradition, they have also used this, and we in Pir Saduddin's tradition, we have used this word as well. And Piratan was merged with Mawlānā Sultan Muhammad Shah with his hidayat in 48th Jama, and Mawlānā Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Arwahuna Fadahu said that there'll be no more Pir. But we do know from history, again, lesson of history, that Prophet Muhammad was first Pir. Now, how was he first Pir? He was Pir of Mawlānā Imran, Mawlānā Abu Talib. And Mawlānā Ali was the first Imam. But remember, whenever we remember these personalities, we always remember them with their highest, title and highest rank. Prophet Muhammad was our prophet. So that's how we say that he was the Nati. But he was also Pir of Mawlānā Imran. So in the lines of Pir, Piratan, Prophet Muhammad name comes first. But he was the Pir of Mawlānā Imran alayhi salam. And Mawlānā Ali was the first Asas Imam. But then in Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah's time, because it is the time of Qiyamah, he sat on the Gadi and he announced it's the end time. Piratan was merged with Imam. So when we gave bayah to Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam, we said, you are our Murshid, you are our Pir, and you are our Imam. So all these 3 titles are merged with Imam. Why? Because it is the time of Qiyamah. There are no hudud-e-din, because Pir represents a hudud. All the hudud-e-din are merged in the personality of Imam. And there are so many lectures which are being done in the past on hudud-e-din. So those friends who ask this question, I would humbly request, if you were to listen to those lectures, it will make more sense to you that why in today's time, because it's the time of Qiyamah, hudud-e-din are merged with Imam-e-Zaman. So I think we have covered all the parts. We did finish, Alhamdulillah. I'm truly grateful for your interest and your being present here. And we discussed and finished the discussion on this Farman. Alhamdulillah. We have so many Faramins, Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam's Houston Farman, Portugal Farman, so many Faramins. And we can continue to reflect on different Faramins. But it is important that, we do this practice individually too. We took one Farman and we did 4 sessions. And I hope you saw that how many different directions we went in discussing this reflection of Farman. So when we read Farman, we have to pick up keywords and read more about those keywords to understand what Mawlānā Hāzīr Imam is guiding us. And are we understanding his Farman? And we understand, we'll become Farman Bardar. When we'll become Farman Bardar, we will elevate in spirituality. We will have more peace and happiness. So I hope we all see the connection. And inshallah, with your prayers, we'll continue to discuss different aspects and different Farmans. If you have questions, specific questions, never hesitate to send it so we can continue to have these sessions. Ji. if anyone has any questions or comments.
Thank you, Niamat Sahaba. What a beautiful session. You took us down history, where you showed us the importance of our golden age, the Fatimid age, which was so rich in culture, architect, name it, and it was so rich over there. And you beautifully brought us memories back. And so truly, you again and again, you remind us all the time that how important it is to understand history. Even Imam Shah Karim has said it in the Farman, learn about your history. And today, when you said, I mean, during the Didar, when the gift was given, and Maula said that I will treasure it, that really touched my heart, you know. I mean, he treasured it, and I can imagine the expression and the feeling, with so much of feeling, he must have said it. So it makes us more wanting us to know more about our history, to understand his actions, his farmans, his words, and we will only be able to understand if we know our history, if we know our ginans, if we know Quran, few verses, you know, if we dive into the Quran, all understanding will bring us better understanding of what Imam is trying to tell us. And thank you so much. And also you reminded us ethics in action. We have to live our life with integrity, and our values has to align with our actions, not only when everybody's watching, but even when we are alone. We have to be true to ourselves. For even if nobody's watching, you have to be true to yourself. So your mind, body, and action has to be aligned, and that will help us in our ibadat. Otherwise we will be distracted, because it will come again and again in our mind. So thank you for the lovely wonderful, most wonderful session. Friends, if you have any questions or reflections, please come forward. You can even write it on the chat. We have some Ginan verses in the chat. Eji kam kro jena gatama he zahira jagya tene jitya jitya davasarave harya. The other Ginan is Kamya daya ki doe mundra pehro gina nakar jo ahara abadu te jogi jugat mahe jako mana dujare nahi abadu te jugam jogi jugat mahe.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Gina.
Yalimadat Niamat Sahaba.
Right.
I just want to share something very nice with you. By chance, the book what you have been reading now. I have that book just now with me, and I was able to understand what what you were explaining and all that. But of course, there were certain things which I didn't even know. But inshallah ta'ala, with your lecture, I will make some notes and get everything right. Inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you. So, Mumtaz, I see a comment here by R. A session on Qiyamah, what it means would be helpful in the future. So, I wonder if you've been attending the session. We have been talking about Qiyamah, especially on Tuesdays. And there's a whole series of lecture which we started actually from Farman, and we went into references of Noor, and we have discussed a lot about Qiyamah. In fact, all the discussion revolves around Qiyamah. Qiyamah is not a simple subject to be, have one presentation or two presentation. I believe that series of lecture has almost 80 lectures. They are all related to Qiyamah. So you have to catch up and listen to those lectures. And then if you say, in this session, I have that question, I'll be here.
Any other friends who'd like to come forward to even share a reflection or any questions?
Yalimadat Niamat Sahaba, wonderful session. आप मुआविया और यजीद की और जब बात चल रही थी तो मुझे कल फ़कीर साहब के लेक्चर की बात याद आ गई. उन्होंने कहा कि यजीद को भी माफ़ी मिलेगी. आई एम लिटिल बिट कंफ्यूज हियर. इफ़ यू कैन प्लीज क्लैरिफाई. थैंक यू.
We don't have to go far. Actually, Imam Sultan Mahmud and his Faramins, he has said that Yazid ही की शिमर की बात की है मौलाना ने, शिमर की बात की है कि he has forgiven Shimmer even. So the context is Maulana Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, I'm of course paraphrasing, Mawlānā Imām says that, when you do not do ibadat, you kill my nur, and you will not be forgiven. Mawlānā Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah was the Jawma, where he was very straightforward. He would tell us that, show us the mirror, that you yourself come forward and ask for Isma Azam, and when you don't do ibadat, and then he says that, yes, Mawla ka ghar is such that everybody gets forgiveness. Even Yazid or Shimar, they would receive forgiveness. So remember, you have to understand that there are different levels that you have to understand. Dr. Saab mentioning that Yazid will get forgiveness, who killed, martyred Imam, or Mawlana Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah mentioning Shimar and Yazid, getting forgiveness. All that actually is to show it to us. Mawlana Hāzīr Imam's name is Rahīm. He is merciful. In his court, everybody will receive mercy. Everybody will receive mercy. So we have to understand that, number one. So, Munira, I hope you understand that everybody will be forgiven. And when we pray ourselves, Al-Wahidul Kahar, we are saying that Mawla, forgive and make everybody one. And when Qiyamah happens, everybody is forcefully made one. Now, on the other hand, when I was quoting this Farman, Mawla in his Farman giving us hidayat that when you don't do ibadat, in that context, Imam has mentioned this, that you kill my light, when we as Ismailis, we who are with his bayya, when we make a promise with Imam and when we don't keep up with it, then Mawlana Sultan Muhammad Shah has implied that your actions are worse than, Shimar and Yazid. Those who read Farman, they would know this. If you have read Kalam Imam Mubin and Baitul Khayal Farman of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Niamat Saba. There are some sessions posted on the chat. Friends can refer to those on Hudud-e-Din. I guess we all have to reflect a lot and continue to reflect. Thank you so much, Niamat Saba, for the wonderful session. Thank you all, friends, for joining. Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Thank you.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad,
Ya Ali Madad.
Nevin Saiba and Niamat Saiba, Ya Ali Madad, Mullah Seva Kabul Kare.
Ameen.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya
Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad.